Well, you do have a funny story in your book about being sent out to buy Listerine for Frank Sinatra.
Yes. I was
That must have been incredible. I mean, I'm such a Sinatra fan. I never met him, but wow, that must have been so exciting.
He performed a live concert at Madison Square Garden called The Main Event in October of '74.
And that's why this chick is a tramp.
And I worked on that. ABC did it in prime time. And among the high-end jobs that I had to perform was to go out to a drugstore in Midtown Manhattan and buy Listerine and deliver it to his dressing room. I knocked and some big security guard answered, "Yeah, kid," it's one of those,
I was
right
gonna
out of
say,
the movie. What do you got?
"Thanks,
What do you
kid."
want, kid? I said, "I have Mr. Sinatra's Listerine." And he was about to take it, and I heard Sinatra's voice in the background. And he said, "Hold on one second." And what's your name? And I said, "Bob Iger." "Where are you from?" I can't remember what I said, Brooklyn, or I was born in Brooklyn. I grew up in a town called Oceanside. And he handed me a crisp $100 bill. And it's interesting because I got, as part of working on the show, he gave everybody this is a sign of the times, he gave everybody on the crew a gold cigarette lighter that said "Love Frank" on it. I still have the cigarette lighter.
I hope you still have that cigarette lighter. I hope you still have that $100 bill.
I spent the $100 bill right away.
You should have gotten him to sign it.
Who knew,
Well, I think you knew at the time. It was Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
Come on, Bob. What would you say to people starting out who, have stars in their eyes and would love to work at a company like Disney?
I've always believed that people need to determine what it is they're interested in, and meaning know what your passion is in terms of how you want to spend your time. It's a lot of time that we do devote to work. To the extent you have that luxury, by the way, and pursue your passion with vigor. And when you're given opportunity to pursue it, you've got to work really hard. I think one of the things that I'm sure, knowing you as long as I do, know is that the value of hard work beats just about almost anything else. Showing up and being willing to put in the time and the energy and the commitment is the best possible way to opportunity. But even then, we know there are people that are willing to do that don't get the kind of opportunities that we were afforded or we'd like all people to have. But I don't think there's anything better more effective than hard work.
Do you find it disconcerting what's happened to the news business and just how polarized we are?
I am more than disconcerted. I'm saddened by it all. I used to think that the truth really mattered and that there was always a means of getting at the truth and accepting what it was, even if you started off not believing it. There was a place, a means, a dialogue, a forum that ultimately would conclude what was right, what was accurate. And I don't think that exists today. And it's very, very sad. I think that it's polarized. A polarized society, a polarized world would be one way to describe it. But I actually worry that the impact of such polarization could be far more profound. What happens if two opposing sides have no ability to ever come to some agreement about something other than through sheer force? And I fear that that's ultimately what people will resort to prove that their side is right, as opposed to dialogue and debate and consideration and kind of back and forth.